Does Superman suck? Let's talk about it.
Unseen a DYAD in the force.
Welcome to DYAD in the Force, a mixed fandom channel with a small focus on Star Wars because we are big fans of Star Wars. We're here to bring back critical analysis and media literacy one view at a time. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.
Also, if you don't like what you hear, still subscribe. Let us know what you didn't like and why, and we'll argue with you in the comments. But to get started, we're talking Superman, fantastic movie, and we have an amazing guest, one of the greatest yappers you'll ever see. We have Maria. Maria Talks Everything here. If you want to start by letting people know where they can find you and what you normally talk about.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be back. My name is Maria Watches Everything. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I talk about everything. I definitely talk about TV shows and movies and a lot of fandoms. I've talked about Star Wars before and many other fandoms, especially superheroes. This is, I would say, like maybe the first time I'm talking about Superman. I don't know what to say. Big fan. I think I've not been a fan before. I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I've given him some credit. Batman fan before, DC fan sort of, but yeah, no, first time Superman fan. And I'm sorry I've had doubts before because James has made me a fan now.
I think we all equally had doubts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's might be a good place to start though, because like you, I was not the biggest Superman fan. I have a lot of friends who are, and so I've viewed as a challenge. Like, give me the reading recommendations. Let me see if this character actually isn't boring. You know, Pat, where were you at with Superman coming into it?
My general knowledge of Superman came from pop culture. You know, I wasn't a huge DC Comics person. Like I told you, like when we met, the depth of my comic knowledge started at X-Men, stopped at X-Men. And then like everything else was just kind of ancillary and adjacent to that. And so that's why I'm most excited about where the MCU is going and introducing the X-Men finally. But other than that, what I know about Superman is he's a nice guy. And apparently that's woke these days. But yeah.
Like Henry Cavill looked amazing as Superman, but all of that just left a lot to be desired. I still blame the Dark Knight for making everything dark and gray. It was a great movie, but I feel like it killed DC for the next decade because they were trying to recreate that feeling when we first saw it.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the other Superman was just moody and like sad, and Pa Kent was like, you should just let people die and stuff, and you're like, what is this?
I don't even blame the Dark Knight. I don't know what it was. I blame Snyder. Actually, you know what?
I do blame Snyder too.
Yeah, I was saying, you welcome controversy in your intro. I blame Zack Snyder. I blame Zack Snyder.
No, you're not wrong. I just feel like Zack Snyder saw that and was like, I'm gonna do that with my flavor, and that just was not the way to go.
Well, I do wanna like, small caveat. I don't think Zack Snyder is a horrible filmmaker by any stretch. I think, at least for my reading of his Superman, I've mentioned this on previous episodes of our podcast, very God complex. Lots of, and Choco, I'll let you elaborate on the the religiosity of what he injects into his stories. But that for me, that's where the Superman movies from Snyder fell short, right?
So I think where Zack Snyder fell short, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Choco. I think it's
not at all. We'd rather listen to you than us. So
is exactly where James Gunn succeeded. Because I was like thinking about this exactly. Like I was just like, why did I like this Superman movie so much? And I think, why did this Superman movie succeed? And why do we need this Superman movie? And I think it's because it was so good and they're so joyful. I think the reason why Zack Snyder's movie, especially the DC movies, didn't work was because he didn't really understand what Superman stood for. I think he was trying to make this anti-hero movie this whole time. And yeah, most of DC, especially Batman, is an anti-hero, but Superman was never this anti-hero. And he just didn't, like, I think he was trying to, like, you're right, I do think he was trying to make a Dark Knight version of Superman, and he just never maybe understood the point of Superman. And I think that's why it never sold. Whereas like James Gunn really truly understood what Superman was always supposed to be, which was just like a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Zack Snyder is the king of the spectacle. That's what I'll say. His spectacle is fantastic, but I feel like in all of his productions, he's so focused on strength and on badassity and on, you know, like he wants you to know how strong Superman is and how hard he hits and stuff like that. And it's like, we know that. Like, that's the thing that makes the character boring to me. And the reason this was so exciting was because, you know, I got to see him fighting a kaiju, and while he's fighting it, you know, he gets thrown into a building, and the first thing he does is see if everyone in the building is okay, or if he needs to run someone to the hospital. Then he turns around to continue to fight. Like, that's Superman. And also, you know, just not to go too far into it, but the fact that we are currently on the darkest timeline, this bright ray of sunshine like brought life back into my soul, you know. That was a bit different.
It came out with his interview with Lois too, right? Like when she was asking about what he's been doing, one of his answers was like, "Don't worry, no one died." Like,
best scene. Yeah. And they started, well, they didn't start with it, but that was like one of the first scenes in the first 20 minutes. I just want to say I love this movie. If it wasn't said, I love this movie.
Oh, I loved it too. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and that's only because I don't give things 10s.
And that's fair. I think I gave it an 8.5 when I first saw it, and now I'm like, it's just slowly going up and up. I'm like, I think it's a 9 now.
Yeah.
Just I love this movie. It's just like, it was romantic. It was nostalgic. It was like a buddy, like it was an ensemble movie. I also think to Zack Snyder's point, I think another issue with DC was that they were trying so hard to compete with Marvel, and they were trying to like catch up with like Avengers and have this assembly movie and do Justice League. But it's so funny because he had so many cameos and so many characters in this movie, and you watch Superman hang out with like the Justice Gang, and he's still like James Gunn was still able to show Superman work with others in a way that like was fun too, and showed like Superman's struggle with working with others in a way. I don't know, whenever in Zack Snyder's version of, I don't want to make this whole hour about like shading on Zack Snyder.
I mean, we have to, right? It's a stark contrast.
I know. But like I'm trying not to, but like one of my frustrations with the Justice League was that like everyone's just like, it's Superman, he's like God, we can't work with him. But this whole movie was Superman working with others.
Yes.
In addition, is that he's not a god and that he needs help. You know?
Yeah, literally the whole time he's working with others. It was just such a stark contrast.
Also,
the most important part about the character is that he's got the powers of a god, but the heart of a man. Like, that's the whole point. And so, you know, what we alluded at earlier is, and I will also move on from Zack Snyder, but I feel like everything he does is some type of Jesus allegory in every movie, for every character, like multiple characters in the same, and you're like, stop.
We get it. We get it.
You know, but even that, you trying to make, you know, Superman a Christ-like allegory, like he's Moses, you know, he's to save him from death, you put the baby and you send him down the like he's Moses. He was made by 2 Jewish people, so like at least get it right, you know.
You got the wrong biblical metaphor.
Crazy enough, like the most emotion and like kind of introspection that we got from, and I'll move on from Snyder too after this, from Snyder's Superman was him in turmoil over killing Zod. But even then, that was the part that everyone had the most kind of like contention about.
in order to move on from it, let's ask what are your favorite depictions of Superman so far, and where does this movie rank amongst them? For me personally, I mean, the movie that started it was the original Superman movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
It was just such an iconic performance.
We're gonna share a lot of
Mhm.
points here.
Yeah.
So like that was its own thing, but nothing besides the animated series ever captured him again for me until recently. We actually have the show Superman and Lois. That's very good. It's
I've
just
heard
not.
that.
It's not as focused on Superman. It's more about the kids.
Mm.
And then also recently as well, there's the animated My Adventures with Superman, which is like an partially anime-ified Superman. Like Superman has a magical girl transformation. It's fantastic. But like this performance, it was exactly what we needed for like this time.
Mhm.
And so I feel like this may be, I mean, I think this was probably our best Superman, because look, if you gave Christopher Reeves the technology that we currently have, then it would be better. But like, I don't know. But more than anything, Lois blew me away in this. This is my top Lois, and I think
Yeah.
she was the best cast person in the film.
I was gonna say I agree with that, because I don't think Smallville counts, because that's technically Clark Kent, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
No,
That's
you can count
technically
it. I mean, you decide if you count it or
Superman.
not.
Yeah.
I know Dean
unfortunately-
Kane's doesn't count for obvious reasons.
That's fair. Yeah, I will admit I've not watched enough Superman media. That's my issue too. I've seen the original Christopher Reeves one, and that was like my childhood. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm biased because that's my childhood, but honestly, that is the best depiction, unfortunately. And I'm just like, I think Smallville is also like an origin story. So I agree with Choco with that completely. But I think Smallville is also just more origin story. So
I tried, so I never watched Smallville, and then
yeah.
like a year ago, I was like, I'm gonna watch it, and it was so angsty. that
Well, yeah,
I
it's a teen drama.
I was like, it felt like I was like, I don't even know. I was just like swimming. It felt like you were swimming through a cement pool of angst.
Again, to
It
be
was
fair,
like,
I
oh,
watched
it's so
it.
thick.
And to be fair, I watched it as a teen too. So I
Yeah.
was just like, again, there's a lot of nostalgia. But
I would have loved it if I
yeah.
watched it as a
Yeah.
teen.
I
but-
also think that like a lot of Superman reminds me of nostalgia though. And that's why I think this is kind of tangential. This movie was very nostalgic for me. Like this movie reminds me of what superhero kind of does symbolize. It gives me hope. It gives me a reminder of like a true to form time of like hope, and like there are things to like fight for. There is a time to fight for. So nostalgia in the superhero movie feels right.
It's certainly relevant for what's happening nowadays, and I think I have to share a lot of what you guys are talking about, because the Donner Superman was my first introduction to a on-screen Superman. I had seen comics, I had seen pictures, and I knew who Superman was, but like Christopher Reeves' portrayal of Superman and Clark was like, I think it was a clinic on how to make glasses work as a disguise, right? Because he changed everything about him, his gait, his posture, his voice, and like you could tell, okay, fine, the glasses, they're pretty dumb as a disguise, but he is literally acting like someone else, so you can't really look at that and be like, well, that's clearly Superman, because he lacks confidence and he lacks a forceful stride and a charisma when he's playing Clark. The only thing I will say about the Donner Superman and all the other depictions is that I agree with this Lois being the best one, but I also have to say Nicholas Hoult is the best Lex.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I have a whole thing to say about that later.
Because if I think back to Donner, if I think back,
Not Kevin Spacey.
No, not even Kevin
Do not-
Spacey. I think back to Gene Hackman. I think back to Kevin Spacey and Lord Byron, Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh my
Lex.
god.
And I just, there was no like.
Sorry, my mind went back to him feeding candy to the. It was like, what are we doing?
Okay, like it's like, again, it's the idea, like it's them reading the prompts of like, oh, this is what Lex Luthor is, and missing the point of what actually made those villains tick.
I feel like we've gotten the extremes of Lex, but never the full picture of Lex, right? Because some of it was comical, some of it was conniving, and then some of it was, I'm just gonna say Jesse didn't really do a good job. It was just straight up weird. And then Nicholas comes in and gives us, like, first of all, intelligent. Like, he came with notes, combos, and like a cheat sheet on how to beat Superman.
Literally.
Handed Superman his first L. And his hatred, his pure rage towards Superman's existence is palpable in this movie. And so he is the best Lex that I've seen on screen.
I'm gonna collect myself. I feel like, okay, this is the last comment I'll make again about like the whole Dark Knightification. I feel like Jesse just tried to Joker-ify Lex Luthor almost.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do his Heath Ledger moment essentially with Lex Luthor. And I feel like that's how almost everyone else played him. They wanted to play this like complex character that spoke in riddles. I think Nicholas Hoult had a lot of fun with his character. And I think that's what showed. Like, he loved this character. He had fun with it. I'm a huge fan of Nicholas Hoult. I think he's always been a brilliant actor. And I knew he was gonna kill it. And he just had fun with it. And he knew exactly what this character was going to be, which was evil. And we keep saying this, that this Superman was needed for this time. But I think this Lex Luthor was needed for this time.
that's very true.
Because
like,
we needed a billionaire, but we needed to show how evil billionaires really are. Because this guy tortured a dog. And we need to show that billionaires are evil.
I mean, when we passed through the rage farming monkeys, I just lost it. I was like, that's how they like,
exactly.
He was for sure channeling his Elon Musk, because I don't even remember when if you remember when he first jumped on a scene, like he was positioning himself as like, oh, I'm the real life Tony Stark or whatever. And that's how this Lex came off. Is like, if you saw him on TV, if you heard him, if you went to a meeting with him, he just showed that off. And then like just behind the curtain, he's completely unhinged. And the way he was driven, I do think he was our best Lex, but I also think he isn't truly the Lex that we know and love yet. And I think that's good, because he was the young Lex who has a lot of intelligence, has no wisdom, and doesn't know how to doesn't know how to situate the two. And so like after he goes to prison, he's gonna come out, he's gonna be that calmer, like more serious but also more deadly. And I think we're gonna see him grow as a character, and it's gonna be fantastic. Now I will say what I noticed, I don't know if anyone else did, he has British lips, and it was weird to me.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
British people talk with their lips more, like when they formulate words and stuff like that.
Water. And
so he's speaking, and I'm seeing British lips, but an American voice come out. And for me, I don't know, that would distracted me. Then someone told me like, oh, he's actually British, and I was like, oh, well then that makes sense. But that's
I haven't seen too much of Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, I've never noticed this, but now I'm gonna notice it. Interesting.
Hugh Laurie doesn't do that.
What does he?
No, he doesn't do the lips, but he does have the long mouth.
He does. I guess it helps that his character House just kind of speaks very short and succinctly.
Yeah.
Speaking of great characters, though, because of course Lois Lane loved her, adored her, Mr. Terrific.
He stole the show. That was his redemption. That was his redemption. He was supposed to.
Oh,
I feel like.
Where did he come from? I was not expecting him at all, and I was like, "What? This is my favorite character."
I feel like Darwin died and truly survived,
Healed
and then
me.
came out, as
need-
terrific.
I didn't know I needed that part of me to be healed, and I'm just
I mean, Mr. Terrific never gets his due, and that's why I actually am really excited for James Gunn, because James Gunn is a true comic guy. Like he loves the comics, and so for him, it's not what character is most marketable. It's not which actor is the most famous, and so
I didn't even know
use
the
them
Guardians
to
of
sell
the Galaxy.
movies. Yeah, but, I mean, his first project for this was going to be, was Creature Commandos, which everyone's like, the hell is that?
Yeah.
Loved that.
That's how
Yeah,
you
it's a good
know. Yeah, I mean, his first the Green Lantern he went with was Guy Gardner. That's his
Who
favorite.
I had no idea who that was until this movie too. So
Which again introduces people to the new characters and stuff. Guy Gardner, like he sucks and I hate him, but I love how much I hate him.
Mr. The guy that becomes Kryptonite. I keep getting his name wrong.
Oh, Metamorpho.
Yeah, I was always messing it up. Great character too. But I know. See, this is another reason why. So I actually did grow up. So you had mentioned X-Men. I also grew up with X-Men and Batman. And one of the things I realized about DC is like I actually love the random characters of DC. Because I was watching, one of my favorite shows is Harley Quinn, and I'm just like, I love the side villains, I love the random characters, and I love that James Gunn kind of like opened up the random characters in a way that wasn't like random cameos, and well, it was random cameos, but in a way that was just like opened up the doors. I'm so happy I'm not seeing this. I'm happy I'm not seeing Zod over and over again.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback because being in the Star Wars community, there are times where we get cameos and stuff, and for me personally, they're jarring because a character will enter and they'll like, even the cameraman shoots it like a hero shot, but it's really like just C-3PO walking into a courtroom, like to say some mundane stuff, and you're like, like they're framing it, but the way it was framed in this was just like, this is an organic breathing world with just people in it. This isn't, they're not showing us, it's not for our sake, it's just for the universe, and this is just what's going on, and that's the thing I appreciated the most. Also with Mr. Terrific, his fight scene, like he's so underrated as a character, and it bugs me that he never gets his due, and how casually he whooped everyone, just walking, like without even breaking his stride, with the music playing. Yeah, there was that, and then of course there's I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific.
That was such a good line. I no, you're right. I think
he
it
grabs
was so,
her face.
You're right. I think it was just like how seamless those characters were. I'm just glad it wasn't like the same. It's like it's not the Riddler and the Joker all over again. It's not Zod and just Lex Luthor. It was all these other characters. This Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl was there. It was just and Krypto was there. It was like all these other characters are like our favorites now in this world. He did great world building so effortlessly. I'm very excited for James Gunn's DC, and I feel like he was able to build it without making this Avengers Assemble world. Yeah, and it was a superhero movie. Superman movie.
That was one of my chief concerns when we talked about it as we watched the trailer a couple months ago. I was like, this feels like it's going to be like a Guardians movie over, and like, shouldn't it be about Superman? And when I watched it, I was pleasantly surprised. You know, I especially like the fact that there is a scene that is meant to portray this, and that's the Justice Gang fighting the Beholder in the background when we're having an intimate moment with Superman and Lois. It's like, no, this is still a Superman movie. Those guys, they're in the background. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean?
I love the
No.
Lois and Clark scenes, by the way. They're my they're just so good. It's just like because like you can tell that there's romance between them. There's chemistry between them. They're having these like intimate conversations. Just I get chills because they actually there's romance in superhero movies again.
The romance was reinforced by their troubles, by their conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I found it so compelling because, like you said, like when they were on screen together, obviously we could see the actors had chemistry, but we witnessed the sparks of this couple, right? There were sparks, but but we had to watch as like, you know, the actual fire got stoked, you know, because like there's heat, but she was like, you know, I don't know if this is gonna work. He's over here, he's doing this, you know, and you know, this Superman had a childlike quality that was like he was so pure, you know, which the other thing is how you can portray that like childlike purity without being childish, you know, like a childish like man child, like, you know.
Yeah.
But she's looking at him like he's this naive puppy dog. That, like, there's no way this can work because I live in the real world, and you know he lives in this fantasy. And we watch her fall in love with him as she keeps seeing that just by virtue of him being like this, he's lifting everyone else up. And she's like watching this happen in real time, and we can watch. I don't like. I could see her falling in love with him more, even when he wasn't even on screen, but just by virtue of his actions.
That scene to me, what came to mind when I watched that scene was Naruto at the 5 Kage Summit. A childlike nature, but not being childish. When Naruto asks all of the other Kages, when did you forsake yourselves?
It reminded me of like Jason and Janet from The Good Place. I'm sorry, I didn't see Naruto, but like, you know, like
yeah.
Janet is this all-knowing being, but Jason has like, you know, has hope and belief in people. I don't know, you know what I mean?
Just he sees the good in it. He's like, yeah, I love you.
Yeah. Girl, not a girl. Like, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? Like, when they were having that conversation about punk rock, and he's like naming these bands, and she's like, "Those are pop bands." Like, what are you talking? He's just like, "Well, maybe seeing the beauty in everyone is punk rock." I just think that's so cute, and it's like so simple. Like it's like you said, it's like it's not childlike. It's you could say that's innocence, or it's finding beauty in everything. It's finding joy in everything, and it's especially this day and age, it's so hard to find joy in everything. But you can call it naivety, or you can call it keeping hope alive, which is literally Superman.
Yeah.
And it really rung true for me because that's literally how I've always tried to live my life. And when I started making content, I was more like that, and I've become way more cynical recently. And so like, yeah, just to see that side of it, like, I don't know, it was refreshing.
Yeah, no, I feel that too, because everyone's like, you've been making a lot of Superman content, and I'm like, yeah, I need to. It's like, I need to keep hope alive. It's like, this is why I made content in the beginning. I started making the Good Place content because I love that show. It was about keeping joy and being a good person in a hard time. And like, so when Superman started, I'm like, I need to keep this content alive because it's about the stuff that I wanted to keep talking about. So I need to keep talking about it because this is what I wanted to keep talking about.
Yeah, you
so
gotta
I
feed
feel
the
that
algorithm.
Yeah.
I want to feel that algorithm, and I need to keep feeding my content about that too.
And I mean, that's why I started making content in the first place. I was like stressed out about what's going on. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my joy out there. And so
feels.
Yeah.
That's how we started following each other too.
Exactly. Just going back to those Lois scenes, Lois being not a two-dimensional, like, you know,
Damsel
like
in distress.
yeah, she was at no point in this film was she a damsel in distress, and she's always been like an equal participant in the story. And so I loved that they gave her her fully realized personality and arc, and the way Rachel played the character, the way her eyes lit up. You felt her get brighter when he's like, "Well, why don't you interview me?" And she's like, "I can't." Like, you can tell that journalism is her heart and soul, and that opportunity was like, and she was hitting them with the hard questions, and that whole scene was like, "You can't ask that," and you're like, "Well, you already know the answer, but like in this context, I would have to ask you that anyways." And yeah, they're back and forth.
That was the
It's
best part about
fantastic.
their chemistry, was the
Yeah.
conflict between them, right? You can tell when a couple truly has a spark when there is some tremor or
Tension.
tumult
Yeah.
in their relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where the tension came out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about toxic relations where they're constantly beating each other up. I'm talking about just like having real concerns.
Like healthy. Yeah, exactly.
For me, I think of swing dancing, because that's what I grew up doing, where it's you have this bound and rebound, and that's how
Push and
everything
pull.
begins and ends, right? That is part of the connection, and that's how you see it. I see
Yeah,
it.
and it was also like, so I said this in my video too, like, if like they've had a conversation before, so like it's like there was depth in their character, and there was like this understanding, because I really like how this movie started, but like the movie has already been going into place. Like, Superman has already like been involved in a like there's already a war going on. He's gone involved into this war. And so he's already had this conversation with Lois about this war. He's already interfered with this war. So he and Lois have already had this conversation. He knows where she stands. And now we're having this interview. So he's just like, "Lois, you already know." And she's like, "You already know where I stand, but we're on an interview." So like, it's like kind of like we already had, there's a banter going on already. But within this banter, we're also in an interview. So it's like, and like they had breakfast for dinner before. It was like
Yeah.
this back and forth. And I'm just like, this is cute. This is a couple. Like, it just felt like this back and forth tug and pull, but we're also in this interview. There's this high stakes, and Lois is a really good reporter, and she's taking her job very seriously. So you see this character, and you see this dimension of this female character, but you also see Superman, and you see that he stands for what's right, and he does right all the time. So there's like all these layers to the characters and the relationship happening at the same time. It was only the first 20 minutes of the movie. Such a strong
Which
start.
ironically is my favorite part of the movie, honestly,
Same.
because one of the things that I told Choco was that, this isn't going to go back into Snyder territory, but I'm just going to preface it by saying this is the contrast between Snyder's Superman and Gunn's Superman, is that there was a message and it was profound, and that scene kind of painted it with such clarity. Is Superman getting flustered and angry and frustrated as to why there's so much contention over stopping a war, over having empathy and being nice. Lois is doing her due diligence as a reporter. She's not pushing him just because she wants to push him and push his buttons, but looking at it from Superman's point of view, who is A, an immigrant, and B, a refugee, which is two of the same thing. I see a lot of shows saying he's not an immigrant, he's a refugee. That's what an immigrant is.
They're not mutually exclusive, my dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also, even if there was a distinction between the two, he wasn't granted refugee status. He crash landed on Earth, so like there was no port of entry, no legalese about it. And like, I thought it was amazing to watch Superman just contend and be frustrated with the fact that he doesn't care about geopolitics. He doesn't care about optics. He just, "I stopped a war," and he says that with so much gusto. And yeah, Lois is like, giving him the hard reporter and journalist questions, but watching that scene, aside from all of the action scenes and like the displays of superheroism, like, that's Superman. He's like, all I did was stop a war. Why is this so difficult?
It's also interesting if you think about it from Superman's perspective. Like us, if we are going somewhere, if I, I live pretty close to Mexico, so like we'll drive there for dinner. It's very obvious when you are crossing the border, right? You have to go through all this stuff, and they check you, and yada yada. If you're Superman, all of these are all imaginary borders. These borders are not real.
True.
And they're only real because we have made them real, because we've created things to visually show this, or because we allocate money on this side but not that side. But if you're Superman and you're just flying around the world,
Yeah, you don't see "Welcome to Ohio" or "Now
Yeah,
Leaving
true.
Texas."
it's just
Passport. Yeah, exactly.
it's just people, and and especially if your story is, you're an illegal alien, but you're like, but they saved me and they helped me, and so I just want to help people because I was helped.
Yeah.
Let me help.
And it's also like the whole, because again, I'm not familiar with Superman, but his whole narrative is just like, I'm Superman. I chose to come here and help all of you. All of you. I have the power to do otherwise. So it's like,
Mhm.
do you want to attempt that? Like, it's kind of like, what, like, why are you complaining? So it's very funny that like whenever everyone's like, now why are you guys like nitpicking on like whose side I'm on and what my intentions are? Like, you know what my intentions are.
And this is where we can draw a parallel with our love of Star Wars, because in the book Mask of Fear by Alexander Freed, there's a speech by Mon Mothma talking about the Jedi, and Mon Mothma says, for all of this bluster, the Jedi for thousands of generations had the power to take over, and they never did. And it's kind of like the story of Superman. He's like, he could literally be the ruler of Earth if he wants to, but he chooses to be a farmer and a reporter.
Which takes us to my most hated part. What'd you think of his parents' message? Sorry, or say what you're gonna say first. But I want to get into his parents' message, the first half and the second half, and how you feel.
It's not important, but when you said the farmer thing, I was just like, shout out to Hayden Christensen. And against Scott Walker fan, I had to.
He got bullied so hard that he became a farmer.
Can we just point out there are a lot of memes and TikToks about how, because there's a strike, David Cornsway is like a combination of Hayden Christensen and Henry Cavill. So everyone, whenever the clone, by the way, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Superman, but the clone looks a lot like Anakin Skywalker for some reason.
Yeah, no, I can.
So everyone's just like, oh my god, it's Anakin, or like Bucky Barnes. So there's been a lot of
They
jokes.
take off the helmet and it's just angst and like.
There's a lot of angst.
You did this to me.
Yeah. So but you were bringing up the I think the
message.
Kryptonians message.
So he would always listen to the first half, and then the second half was rule them and create a harem, a Superman harem, and spread your seed far and wide. And then the movie went out of its way to be like, no, this is the actual message.
Yeah, they doubled
he
down.
didn't fake it. No, I know the people who they got, and they wouldn't lie. Like,
so my thought process about that is I got frustrated that I didn't love that part for sure, to the point that I have rejected it from my memory.
What's interesting, because I actually like it, because it creates another message within the movie that, and I'm pretty sure that we're all pretty much aware of the parallels and the allegory of Israel and Palestine and what's going on in the world. And I think that this second half of the message was human shields and them creating a justification to hate Superman based off of that message and not his actions, right? So they're creating a phantom out of this second half of the message to be like, this is why you should hate this alien, this Superman. This is why he needs to be taken out.
I was gonna say, if we're gonna talk about Israel and Palestine, I do have with that in mind. The two there's two thoughts about the whole if Superman is meant to be an immigrant, the message is good and bad, because like if he's an immigrant, it could be a good story about like how it could be like a message about how like the Zionist propaganda is with the evil Kryptonians, because like if the Zionist propaganda of like continuing like, you know, colonization, but it could also be like, oh, it's an immigrant, like the wrong message for immigrants and how like we're dangerous with evil Kryptonians. So it's like it's both things, so it could be evil or bad. So it's how you twist it. I think it just like it didn't like that it was like dropped. I wish there was like some sort of wrap up with the evil Kryptonian message, essentially. But there was definitely a strong Israel-Palestine narrative. So I feel like he was trying to do something with it. I just wish he would have stuck the landing with that messaging and what he was trying to do with it.
So there is some thought that the message could have been essentially altered by the Eradicator. So like in the Superman lore, and depending on which lore, which, you know, origin you're looking at, most of the time his parents are like environmental scientists on the planet, right? And they are good people, and they don't want the war that happens out there on that planet is what is contributing to that planet's destruction, and they just don't care, right? And so Eradicator is the AI that is built into the rocket that is what shares the message. It's what powers the Kryptonian computer or whatever. And so there have been times in the comics where the computer version of Jor-El, his father, would try to do things to help, to do what it thinks to help Superman, but it's actually altering and taking a different path than what the actual parents would have said. So there was a thought process of that, but I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because I'm certain we're going to get a lot more of that once we get the Supergirl movie.
I'm also interested in the forensic method with which they concluded that it was unaltered, because it's Kryptonian technology.
That was my first thought.
Listen, we saw the zip file and it was clean. There was no edits.
And that's no one questioned it. Like,
what I was gonna say though is in the Supergirl, what he seems to be doing is the New 52 run of Supergirl, and so in that, she's a teenager when she comes to Earth. Yes, she's younger than Superman, but he landed first. So Superman grew up on Earth as a human, finds out that he's Kryptonian. She grew up on Krypton. Superman lost it, but he didn't know what it was. She lost everyone and everything. And because of that, she has a lot of trauma wrapped up in, you know, having lost all of those friends and family. That's why she starts out by partying and all this stuff and has crypto. So I think we're going to get a lot more explore what Krypton was like and why we might have gotten a message in that movie. So I am looking forward to how they do it.
I didn't really care too much about her being drunk. I just love Millie Alcock.
Yeah,
she looked great.
I'm excited for it for sure. Especially after this movie. I really like Millie Alcock, so I'm really excited for it. I mean, I'm glad we talked about Supergirl, because I guess I'm very excited for Supergirl. They announced it already, too. Yeah. I'm very excited it's 2026 and not 2028. Like, it's next year, which is a nice surprise.
and they're only announcing things with completed scripts.
Oh, what a feeling. What is this feeling, guys? Is this hope?
Yes, it is.
Oh man, no, I would say I'm giving like Superman a 9, which is amazing. Yeah, no, I've been rewatching a lot of James Gunn's projects. I'm now considering watching, I think the Amazing Superman, or like the animated Superman, the anime one. Yeah, no, it's been giving me hope. I'm excited again. I have hope again. I feel like I've been recommending it to everyone. Yeah, I've been feeling good. So yeah, big fan. That's what Superman's making me feel.
Where I come down on it is, it's making me want to read a lot more Superman comics. By the way, anyone, highly recommend Superman Smashes the Klan. Amazing comic. It is exactly what it sounds like, but it's just a really good comic. But if you watch this channel, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. They made a status quo. That's what we. I can't tell you how many times people are like, "Oh, we're gonna do a comic project." Okay, well, what is like an iconic storyline that they did, which is going to be like, which isn't the status quo. It's not the regular of the characters. It's like an Elseworld thing, or it's like like they keep doing Phoenix. They keep doing all this weird like end game level stuff for these characters, but they haven't established a status quo. So we don't like them, we don't love them, we don't know what their life is before we do this extreme version of them. Like, you can't give me an alternate version of Superman before you give me Superman. So I'm happy that we have this. Makes me super excited. Lanterns is my upcoming is what I'm looking forward to. Also, I want the clone, hopefully he comes back from the other universe as Bizarro.
Well, to echo everybody's feelings, this Superman was a 9 out of 10 for me. It's the best Superman we've gotten since Reeves, the best Lois, the best Lex, and I love that it had a message. But I also love that James Gunn said that this was not going to be the flavor of the DC universe. Is that he said that each director and writer was going to give us a different movie. So don't expect Supergirl or the next project to be like this movie. And I'm excited for that as well, because, as much as people refuse superhero fatigue, there is some, for sure. There's a lot of homework to do with the MCU. And I'm glad this is the direction we're going to start with in DCEU. Or is it the EU, or is it just DCU now?
DC.
Yeah.
Also, I had my first for DC. I had my first Captain America. I understood that reference moment when they said that they gave who's that? I forgot her name. The villain that plugged into the Solitude computer.
The Architect.
The Architect.
Oh, I don't know.
When Lex said that he gave her nanites, I understood that because I played DC Universe Online, and that's how that storyline starts, where he gives all of the civilians nanites to fight against. Is it Brainiac?
Yeah, things go very badly.
But yeah, that'll do it for this review. P.S. I take umbrage with Maria for saddling me with the burden of information that the guy that helped Superman had a family after all.
Oh, sorry about that. I blame TikTok for that too.
Rude.
I'm sorry, guys. If I have to know it, you guys have to know it. That's just how it works.
I'll accept it.
Also, another canonically accurate thing that they got right is Jimmy Olsen pulls.
Oh my gosh! I'm super. What did her feet look like?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
He mentions it.
He's mentioned like they look like shrimp or something like.
I don't know.
She's in his phone as weird toes. Yeah.
I do not have a foot kink. I was referencing what Jimmy said about it. But
and on that note,
phrasing.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you liked what you heard, and if you didn't like what you heard, you can still dislike but still subscribe, and then go into the comment section and let us know what you thought of the Superman movie. But thank you to Maria for joining us for this review. And that's it. On to the next one.
Up and away.